like you to try something for me. Hold your hands up in front of you like this. Close your eyes and then try and touch your 2 forefingers together. How did you get on? Now imagine you were trying to do that with someone else, trying to touch your first finger to their first finger with both your eyes shut. You probably realise that that would be a lot harder, but have you ever thought about why that would be? When we think of our 5 main senses, we generally think of vision, hearing, taste, smell and touch. But have a think, which of those 5 senses were you using to find where your finger was with your eyes shut? It wasn't sight because your eyes were shut. It wasn't touch because your fingers weren't touching anything until they met. So unless you have a weird ability to hear where your own hand is, you must have been using another sense, a 6th sense, so to speak. Well, today I want to tell you about this 6th sense, and it's called proprioception. Quick caveat here, I believe there are far more than 6 senses, and in upcoming videos I will touch on others, but today we're going to talk about this particular sense, proprioception, which is the sense of where your limbs are, where your body parts are in space. Part of this sense comes from detectors positioned in your joints that tell you what angle your joints are at. There are also detectors in your muscles and your skin, which sense when that muscle or skin is stretched and when it's relaxed. These signals are all combined and compared by your brain to give you a rough idea of what position your body's in. Interestingly, a lot of these senses can be tricked by vibration. So scientists have found that if you apply a small amount of vibration to a person's arm, for example, in the right place at the right frequency, you can convince them that they're moving their arm when actually it's completely still. At the same time, inside your inner ear, there are 3 fluid-filled tubes. And when you move, the fluid sloshes around, bending cells inside the tubes and sending signals to your brain about the way in which you're moving. And this is part of how your sense of balance works, but it also plays a role in proprioception. If you know which way up your head is and in what direction you're moving, that can help you know where your body is in space. And the fact that there are 3 of these tubes is really useful. They're each positioned at 90 degrees from each other, which means one sends signals for motions like a forwards roll, the other one for motions like a cartwheel, and the final one for motions like a pirouette. So by combining information from these 3, your brain can tell exactly how your head and body is moving in space. Inside our brain, in the sensory areas, we actually have effectively a map of our whole body. But it's not a perfect one-to-one representation. The areas of body like the fingertips that contain a lot of sense receptors take up a much bigger space in this representation. So if you draw it out how it's represented in the brain, you end up with this grotesque, disfigured, human-like creature known as a homunculus. But what probably happens in proprioception is the information coming in from all these detectors, these sensors that I've talked about, is compared to your map of your body represented as this homunculus. And your brain uses this comparison to work out how your body is moving in space and where your limbs are. We also think the cerebellum at the back of the brain is important, particularly when you're moving your body and that kind of form of proprioception. But there's still a lot that we don't understand about this 6th sense. So next time you manage to itch your nose in the dark or duck going under a low branch, just remember what you have to thank for this ability, your 6th sense, proprioception.